Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Akash and Friends podcast. Today we have an old friend who's sipping juice as I say this, who has a wonderful new setup that he's I like to think inaugurating with this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Azim Banatwala, comedian, writer, and all-round nice guy, and also gamer and just generally tech junkie.
Yes. Hello. What is up?
Hey man, thanks for doing this. I'm so glad that you were so free to do this.
Yeah, मैं क्या करें मेरा हार्ट मरा हुआ है टूटा हुआ है डेड है तो with one hand
Yeah. But I also thought you weren't going to set it up until do your new setup until the hand got better.
Yeah, but the thing is that because I've been going into this just spiraling of sadness and anxiety with the hand, I was like, yeah, I need to do something to like pass the time. So I couldn't set up the desk myself. मैं बुलाया Urban Clap से बंदा. But just I don't know I don't know how to explain the joy of just putting things on a desk and running cables and making sure that they are nicely not visible.
Yes.
And yeah, it's nice. I like it.
I'm the new vlog that I'm putting out is exactly about this because like everything all the parts came one by one, so I was just putting them up as I went. And the monitor came before the laptop, the stand came after the laptop, and all of that jazz happened. And then I just felt like the messiness of it was just getting to me all the time. So I just removed everything. I got a cable organizing. It's not a cable organizing box. It's a random box that was in the house that I turned into cable organizing box. And now it's less messy. But it really makes you wonder कि 2020 में भी इतना केबल क्यों चाहिए मेरे को लाइफ में.
Yeah, it's true, dude. मतलब तुम लोग बैटरी जैसे I was watching कहाँ पे some random Grand Tour episode where they were like the size of the batteries and the hardware that they had in Apollo 11 was like 10,000 times the size almost of what we currently have. And I'm like, तुम लोग ऐसा बैटरी इतना छोटा बना सकता है तो सब कुछ वायरलेस क्यों बन गया है? Why has wireless not become a thing for everything now?
I completely agree.
I mean, I know the answer also. It's just because of the latency that's involved. But just why has science not progressed that much?
Yeah, I think we were all like, ठीक है यार वायर चला लेंगे थोड़ी देर के लिए पहले Facebook से ही बना देते हैं अपन. But hey man, I wanted to start this podcast off by apologizing because many years ago, I think 2015 or something, when we had met in a green room in Canvas, and this is a time when I used to not make that much money, not even 2015, perhaps earlier, and this is just when I started doing Canvas. And the thing is, I used to smoke also. Now, when you're broke and you smoke, you buy ऐसा किश्तों में cigarettes, ऐसा 3-4 cigarettes, and then you're so anxious to be performing at Canvas that you also finish the cigarettes before anyone else also reaches the venue. And then I think I used to invariably end up borrowing cigarettes from you until one day you told me कि Akash, every time I see you, you borrow cigarettes from me.
I mean, it wasn't a complaint. It was just an observation. You just never have enough cigarettes.
And I wanted to apologize for all those cigarettes borrowed, man. But I did not mean to borrow. And I remember I did borrow quite a few. It is etched into my memory.
Well, not really borrow, considering you didn't give them back. You took.
Yes, sorry, bummed. I bummed a dozen cigarettes from you. I don't know if you remember the number, but I do. So yeah, man, sorry about that. But I'm glad it's all past us because para cigarette abhi itna nahi lagta hai. You have had an interesting journey throughout comedy. And I like that you're from my batch virtually, more or less. Upra.
Like एक साल आगे पीछे.
And that's why I think it's an interesting place to start off with because anybody who started around the time we started was had a life before this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you had a life before. Like you used to write for Nat Geo.
Yeah.
And was there anything before that you did?
No,
engineering के पहले?
कुछ नहीं. So basically the writing thing happened because engineering के time पे I used to write for UTV Bindas जो वो ज़माने का BuzzFeed था. Where all these people, Anuya was my editor at that point. And Tushar was like one of my bosses जिसका मैं packages mail करता था for people who have won contests and all of that. So I was the intern over there and I used to write articles just because dude मतलब फोर्थ ईयर इंजीनियरिंग में तेरे को 2,000 रुपया मिल रहा है आर्टिकल लिखने का, तो इट्स लाइक जस्ट ड्रीम डूड. So I enjoyed doing that, and that's where I started writing, and I literally used those like listicles 2009 2010 का जो listicles था is what I gave as like my portfolio to apply for the job. And in fact Tushar referred me to the job at Nat Geo. So that's and I didn't know it was Nat Geo at the time. They said it's international travel magazine. I was like चलो ठीक है, जो भी मिल रहा है मिलेगा. But comedy happened because of that. Because while the magazine was being launched, to sort of train me, there was another magazine as part of the publication called The Man magazine. तो वहाँ पे they were like very short staffed and all of that, because literally it was The Man, एक ही बंदा, one man was running that entire operation. So they said कि why don't you go help him out, and he was like कि क्या चल रहा है नया, and I had just gone and watched my first stand-up comedy show. I don't know if you were there for this show. एक टियान में लेजेंडरी शो हुआ था. Have you ever been to a show at Tian in Nepal?
No, I have not.
Now it doesn't even exist anymore. But that was, I think, my first show. The lineup was वो time पे Tarun Tripathi, probably Trippy, was the guy who was opening, and I think it was his last show because the stage broke while he was on over there, and he was like, fuck this, I'm done with comedy, because he couldn't deal with the embarrassment of the stage breaking while he was performing. I was a kick-ass lineup, dude. It was one of the SNG organized shows when it was still called Shits and Giggles. Which had, I think it was Trippy, it was Khamba, Tanmay, Rajneesh, Varun Thakur, Brij Bhakta, Karan Talwar. That was the lineup that day.
That's an insanely good lineup to have. Yeah. And I'm just glad to know that वो lineup में से अभी सिर्फ 2 ही लोग comedy नहीं कर रहे, बाकी सब तो कर रहे हैं अभी भी.
Exactly. And yeah, so I saw that, went for that show. I was like, okay, so this is something cool that people are doing and all of that. So let's write about it. And then for the cover story, they said we have a hookup where we're doing a photo shoot with Veer Das anyway, so why don't you interview him and talk about comedy. So basically मेरा comedy वहाँ से start हुआ. Where and I don't know if you know, my first open mic was a work assignment. Where my editor said कि ये open mic वगैरह सब चल रहा है, why don't you go and do it, तू comedy लिखता वगैरह, go do it and write about the experience. So that's why I did the first open mic at Comedy Store, which it to this day blows my mind कि 280 people would come to watch a open
Monday
mic
night
at Comedy Store. It was absurd.
It was insane. And that was like, that's what made it so intimidating. Like the first time I did that open mic, I think was, I don't even remember, I think 2000, by the time I did it, it was 2012 because I started in 2011. And I was so nervous. The first time I did open mic, there was Utsav and there was Atul on the lineup. Okay, and that was the first Atul open mic that he had won at Canvas.
At Canvas. His first one was at Cool Chef Cafe.
Cool Chef. I was there for that also.
Yes.
So when I was doing that, I was so terrified. I remember just like shaking from the moment I left my house and shaking till I came back. And it took me that one open mic just to be like, okay, I'm just gonna like I can't do this anymore. So then 3 months I had to not go back, and then I went back and then I won that open mic. But like it was a terrifying experience as and it was so unrealistic, right? Like the first time you and I did comedy was at Sophia College ka college festival, where Saurabh was hosting and Sahil and Sapan won first, second.
Oh right, and then EIC was formed.
Yes, so and I came fourth that night. Sometimes I wonder maybe if I had come third that night, I would have also been an EIC member.
Yeah, very possible.
But like, and it was such an unrealistic experience of what doing comedy is.
Yeah.
Because 90% of the shows are just like 3 people and it's not working and it's a dead corporate or a bad private or some shit like that. And we were was it weird readjusting once you did start?
No, so I had my reality check literally the next week, because so I went and I did that 280 people का open mic, and I did well. उसका video भी है मेरे पास कहीं, तो I'll see if I can dig it out and maybe you can put it on here if you want to. Of just how nervous I was. Like literally I look at it, अगर ये frame stage है तो मैं literally ऐसा चल रहा है throughout. मैं भाग रहा है stage पे while delivering jokes.
Yeah.
So then and then to see that evolution where now I did like problems and entire stand-up special standing one place, not moving.
Yeah.
So that was where I saw, because I saw that video again and I was like, okay, कुछ हुआ है, मतलब 10 साल में improvement हुआ है कुछ. So
हाँ ना.
but I was
That's
saying
such
so
a
the
great
next
feeling.
week that I did was Score Mallard, which was one of the weird. I think you were also there for that.
I think I was there for that. It was a very messed up. No, actually, I was not there for that because I started after you. No, I started August 2011.
So even mine was approx August September only 2011.
Okay.
So that was my second open mic, and I came with the confidence of I've got applause breaks, I've got laughs, all of that.
Yeah.
And I went up first at Score Mallard with 40 people, weird as amateur night. और मैं जो मस्त बॉम्ब हुआ वो दिन ना, not one laugh for 4 minutes. And I have a vivid memory of that day because they were doing some musical thing afterwards. I think Alien Chutney or kuch kar raha tha. And I was just depressed, sad, standing in a corner. Everyone else had okay sets and they're socializing. And it was that same circle of people we knew. Sapan, Sahil, Tushar, like all those people, Rohan. And then just, I still remember Sid Kuto was like setting up his drums and he just saw me standing quietly in a corner. And he's like, it's okay bro, you'll do better next time. And I still remember it was just such a sweet thing. And it's one of those things that just sort of kept me going. Like in the moment I was just like, oh, he's just being nice or whatever. But I think as a performer himself, he knew that matlab, you just have a shit day and it'll be okay.
Yeah, I've encountered so many comics while doing this podcast and otherwise where one person came and told them कि नहीं तू फनी है यार, तू फनी, तू डर मत, तू फनी है, और फिर वही डिल्यूजन लेके हम सालों साल निकाल दिए हैं सब. When did you end up joining EIC?
I think 2013 is when I properly joined. So I started with so this is the thing I've told people is that I have either been a part of or been approached by every major collective that there was. So at one point I was part of SNG, but I think there were like some 30 comedians who were technically part of SNG because Sabka Naam website pe tha. And then literally a week before the EIC call happened, I got a call from someone at Weird Ass. I think it was Kavi or somebody saying that, hey, we want to meet with you and chat about doing stuff and all of that. And then they never called me back. And then the week later, Crow called me saying ki we do this news show called Digging the News, where we get a new comedian every month to do it. So do you want to do it? And I was like, chal, cool. And that's where it started. So I did well the first time. They called me again. And then it evolved into this show, which was our first EIC tour, which was Comedy News Network, which was the precursor for what Outrage then became. But that's basically end of 2012, early 2013, or actually maybe mid 2013 is when I officially joined EIC, and I think I quit my job at the end of 2013.
Okay. And is it by that time there were already like 4 of them, right?
So Atul and me joined together. There was Sapan, Sahil, Saurabh, Kunal at the beginning, and then Atul and me joined.
And then there was 6.
And then there was 6.
Angad also joined.
Yes.
And then that became 7.
Yeah.
And then I remember there was this phase of having
it's way too many comedians to get a consensus on anything.
Yeah, that must have been, but that's what's interesting, right? Because you still made it past pretty much like for a while, how weird is that? Because comics are so individualistic.
It's true, but हम लोग का वो aim था कि like it was a sort of single-minded thing of कि rather than us taking years to grow as individuals, maybe we can all pool our resources together and have this one collective that grows over a short period of time and try to achieve over 2 years what we would achieve in 5 years. And we did do that, but then the thing is then we slacked and then the progress sort of deteriorated over a while. I mean, not really slacked. We made a couple of pivots to things that were making money but not giving us satisfaction. That kind of stuff, which now in pandemic, in retrospect, I was like, fuck, वो करना चाहिए था, dude, ad agency बनना चाहिए था, because भारी पैसा मिलने वाला था.
But that's the thing, no? Ki like when you do comedy, it's probably because you are a hard-nosed person who doesn't want to do other shit. Like that whole decision to do stand-up only is such a I don't know, some might call it selfish, but on some level it is selfish. It's like this is what I want to do and it makes me feel good, so I'm going to do it. and then you suddenly find yourself, like I find myself in that weird space right now where I am one foot in production house, one foot in doing my own shit, and unfortunately I feel like it is the era of the content creator, not so much the era of the artist anymore.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's true. And I've also had to now adjust my thinking a little bit because you know how, and I'm sure this would have happened to you as well. Like when you have a thought, you're like, कि ये must bit बनेगा, and I will workshop this, and ये through this bit मैं पैसा कमाएगा 2 साल. Because I will refine that bit, I will do it in corporates, and then eventually I'll do it on YouTube, and that will lead to a tour, ticket sales, and all of that. But the thing is, if you do the same thing with Instagram video, it's gone. Like that same 2 minutes that you would have spent like 6 months building.
Yeah.
You can't spend 6 months writing an Instagram joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just gone in the universe. वो ऐसे 12,000 view में निकल गया. And you're like, this is gone now forever.
It's so weird to me, dude, because like the whole idea of developing a bit is to like at least you are somebody, and we'll get into that, you're somebody who really sits and writes like you write it down and all of that. I am somebody who's just I have a very large rate of churning out material because I just go on stage and I talk and thud ऐसा मैं निकालता है. So I find myself in this place where I'm like, okay, I have these 6 specials and nobody to buy them, nowhere to perform them, and really no way to turn them into something that is consumable to the end person.
Yeah.
Right, like Nasty, तो I tried doing the sex wala show on Zoom, and I was like, ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता है, because like 40% of the jokes in the special are throwaways, you know.
Yeah.
So you can't even do it.
It's a charm to the live. Like you read the audience, you read the energy of the room. You put that little one throwaway joke there and one extra tag over here. That just comes from just that either that little laughter, that one laugh you hear in the corner, you pick up on that and you take it and go somewhere. You can't do that on Zoom. It's not possible.
Yeah. And on Zoom, the biggest problem I felt is ki if 6 people are laughing, whether it's like one person laughing, 6 people laughing, or all 50 people laughing, it doesn't feel different.
Yeah.
You know, in an open mic, especially I do the Monday open mic every week, and I still don't know if any of those jokes are actually good jokes.
Yeah, it's true.
And anyway, coming back, we are getting ahead of ourselves to present times. So yeah, how did you all divide responsibility in something like EIC?
Oh, we still don't know, honestly, because हम लोग का कितना, I think it would sort of start rotating after a while, like because also our like business models in a way sort of kept changing to evolve with the times. Like initially it was stand up करना है, सब लोग stand up करेंगे, one person will be in charge of like production, one person in charge of booking venues. वो time पे obviously we didn't have management or anything, we were doing all of that ourselves. Then the whole thing came of sketch बनाने का. So then somebody was like, these 3 people will write sketches, one person will handle production, like, you know, figuring the DOP, one person, I think Kunal was perennially HR and finance person in EIC, which he hated. Because there was just nobody else who was equipped at the time until Angad came, and Angad came with like MBA brain, thoda aata hai kuch business ke bare mein. So Kunal would get damn fried because of that, obviously. And then I think after we sort of became private limited, we moved to a proper big office in Lower Parel. We were doing a lot of social media. We had employees. We were doing social media content.
I ended up coming to that office, I think, once for a party. I don't know whether that was the housewarming party or the shutting down.
Christmas
party. That was a Christmas party. Yeah. And
so that was a lot of fun. I got.
Oh man, that was a great day.
Yeah, that was way too much alcohol and way too many comedians.
Yeah, it was the best. And you know, of all the great comedy parties that have happened, like this was the only comedy party where I didn't feel too anxious to go to. Because like I think EIC generally as a collective was way less intimidating compared to the others.
It's true.
Yeah.
We also, I think, because we were less successful than the others.
No,
it just comes with that.
I really don't think it's that, dude. I think ek to na, like even when I was interning at AIB, Tanmay and Khamba are very tall people. Okay, they're really tall. They are way taller than you would think they are.
Yeah.
And Tanmay has the wall, and they both have that gravitas of like, you know. रोहन तो अपना चलो अपना सोबो
Yeah.
बॉय इधर ही बड़ा हुआ है वो टाइप्स, तो वो वाला सीन चल जाता है. बट लाइक दोस टू आर, यू कैन, इट्स इजी टू गेट इंटिमिडेटेड एज अ न्यू पर्सन,
Yeah, for sure.
especially when the people you're working with work that hard and are that good at what they do.
Yeah.
You know, I realized within the first couple of weeks only that my first thought, their first thought was probably my fifth thought at this point. And I could not, there was no way I could contribute to most of the creative conversations because I just could not keep up. But with EIC, every time I did interact with you all, there was a strong sense of like, I'll teach you, don't worry about, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when you all did that Bachelor of Comedy thing,
Hmm.
you know,
At NCP, I think that was, no?
yeah. That was great. That was
I still, my
bhale-
highlight memory of that is Hemant Morparia doing comedy. Were you there for that one?
No, I don't think I was
Oh,
there.
dude, it's just the weirdest, most funny set I've ever seen. It was hilarious.
But, do you remember any of those people who just came and went? And
Oh yeah, there were so many of them. Yeah. So many.
You
Who
think
you
any of
thought
them
like
would
you know कि this person could be like the next big thing, but then they were like कि okay नहीं मुझे job करना है. And
Yeah.
Which is in fairness for them because starting and making it as an individual takes a shit ton of time
Oh, yeah.
in this industry.
Now when EIC shut, I think Pant left EIC before EIC shut, right?
Yeah, Pant and Atul both.
हाँ.
Because they were very clearly कि हम लोग को, because as you said ना कि this economy became content creator and it was becoming content creator economy like 3-4 years ago. And it was like a conscious thing of okay, we need to be doing more content because as a collective that's where the money is and that's where the scope for growth is, and the more
Yeah.
you grow over there then the more also you grow as an individual.
Yeah.
But I think Pant and Atul, in fairness, were never interested in that. Even I genuinely was not so interested in that, but I was like, chalo, I still see the potential in it and I'll stick around and let's see where we can take it.
Yeah.
But Atul never interested in you know, writing sketch or you know, coming up with a brand video or anything like that.
Which is interesting because now he does that positive news stuff, which is
Yeah.
essentially like it's a content piece only.
Yeah, which as we've had to evolve. No, you don't have a choice, and especially for people whose only bread and butter is stand-up comedy and live shows and corporate and all that, then you have
Yeah.
to do that. There's no choice. For me,
Yeah.
I could still afford to sit and not sit and make content because I'm like कि थोड़ा इधर उधर का कुछ brand work आ जाएगा, कुछ थोड़ा writing assignment आ जाएगा, तो थोड़ा घर चलेगा वैसे. So, but then once all that dried up, then अभी मैं आ गया ना Instagram पे, so एक मिनट का वीडियो रील बनाने.
But with the specials you've done also, like problems था, problems के पहले कमत दावर था, नहीं,
Yes.
हाँ कमत दावर था, और अभी problems के बाद वाला जो आएगा वो
Between the lines, yeah.
Between the Lines, वो आ गया कि आना बाकी है?
नहीं, just so I was supposed to record it. Well, in April is what I had planned to record the show, not for any platform or anything, just to record it myself and shop it. See if anyone's interested. We record it to an OTT spec. If anyone's interested, we put it out. Otherwise, I distribute it myself and see how it goes.
हाँ.
But वो हुआ नहीं, unfortunately.
मैं तो अभी, yeah, I don't see how touring will ever come back in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will probably a year down the line. Because I think after a point even audiences will be, तुम लोग कितना Zoom पे open mic देखेगा? You know what I mean? Like it's just,
Yeah.
although considerably, like if you've been doing the open mics regularly, there is one, I joked about this on open mic yesterday, where like you go to the open mic and you're seeing the same audience also every week. Like वो same, अगर 10 लोग आते हैं तो
Yeah.
7 लोग same है. तो ये basically grassroots of comedy in India. And the thing is कि मैं बॉम्बे based open mic किया है, मैं जयपुर based open mic किया है.
Same लोग आ रहा है.
सेम लोग आ रहे हैं. तो पूरा इंडिया का ग्रासरूट्स कॉमेडी इकोनॉमी 7 लोग चला रहे इफेक्टिवली राइट नाउ.
पर वो 7 लोग, thank God for those 7 people, man. Like,
I mean, also feel bad for them because this is sort of like become their Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in a way. हर हफ्ते सेम लोग आ रहे हैं, we're sitting and doing the same thing.
yeah, but I think that caused like a profound shift in. So what was happening around Feb this year, no, was कि I was hitting this spot where whenever I went on stage, I just stopped doing material. I just started talking कि ये last एक हफ्ते में क्या हुआ है.
Yeah.
And that became the only thing that was really thrilling me. Probably because, you know, when you get burnt out also, I mean, the Nasty Cast tour started in 2018. September, I think August or September 2000, July 2018, and it went on till this year February.
Yeah.
You know, because we did round
That's a
one,
long
round
tour,
two,
yeah.
then we did डार्क चल रहा है, डार्क का टूर शुरू हुआ तो डार्क के साथ साथ नेस्टी भी हो रहा है. फिर डर्टी स्टैंड्स का टूर किया तो डर्टी स्टैंड्स के साथ भी नेस्टी हो रहा है, बिकॉज नेस्टी इज दैट शो दैट गेट्स सोल्ड आल्सो दैट मच.
Yeah.
And beyond a point, you just get like so fried. I'm like, I don't want to do any jokes I've told or any
Yeah.
jokes I'm going to tell. I just want to keep talking. And now in the Zoom shows, same thing is happening where because people keep coming back, I can't tell jokes.
Yeah, you can't workshop material like in this environment. It's just you go, like I do open mic just now, honestly, literally for mental health. Because वो 7 minute करके जो endorphin rush मिलता है, I just feel happy and I can go to sleep peacefully. Like it's literally the only reason why I'm doing it. Because material तो नहीं बनता.
Solos?
I did solos, yeah. Up to the point where they were slightly profitable, and then obviously the sales tailed off.
Yeah.
But again, I did that. The solo, just doing the hour, just feels like. Also because I hadn't done the material for so long, I had slightly fresher perspective on it because I didn't do any shows for 3 months. And then I came back and looked at the material and I'm like, acha, okay. Because I'd been touring that show, right, for 6 months. And it was just, you know, it's autopilot. Every day, same show, same jokes, blah, blah, blah. Maybe one extra tag over here, one throwaway over here, one improvisation there. But essentially, 80-90% is the same thing you're doing every night. Plus the additional tension of ticket बिका है, नहीं बिका है, सुबह उठना है, flight जाना है, flight miss नहीं करने का है, all of that nonsense.
Man, I never thought I would miss that, you know, but
Yeah,
at one point, I had this recurring nightmare that I am at the airport and my flight is late. I'm late for my flight and my manager has not sent me the ticket.
Yeah.
And this had happened twice. Okay, कि उसने भेजा नहीं और उसने last minute भेजा types. So I had to actually sit him down and be like, dude, you are giving me nightmares. You need to sort your shit and you need to start sending me everything 1 week in advance so that I know where everything is. But I never thought I'd miss that part.
But you've missed flights for gigs?
I've never missed a flight to a gig. I've missed return flights.
Okay.
Like,
got it.
yeah, like and invariably what happens is कि it's like your 15th day of continuous shows.
Yeah.
और मैं भी गांडू है मैं like especially if I go to like Ahmedabad or something na, I could book HK Auditorium and do the 600 seats but I will do 6 shows at Ouroboros 6 times
just for
and
the
then,
feel.
Yeah, because like and plus like if I know that if I do the same show 6 times I will do a slightly different show each time.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it I'll come out of those 6 shows with 1.5 show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I used to get so exhausted. I remember this one time at Guwahati. And it's always like that, right? Like your tour is planned for Thursday to Sunday. फिर बीच में कॉलेज शो आ जाता है तो तुम अभी कोई भलती जगह से कहीं और भाग के जा रहे हो शो करने के लिए just because this gig has come up. I remember this one time I had gone to Delhi for just a chill thing, कि like हाँ मैं 3 दिन chill करने जा रहा हूँ and then I'll go on to the next show.
वो कभी होता नहीं है वो कीड़ा हमेशा like कहीं पे भी जाओ like that's why Sana hates going on holiday with me because he's like तू कहीं ना कहीं जाके open mic करने वाला है 4 it's you like how can you go to another country and resist the temptation of performing for a new audience? I don't understand.
I swear, dude, and it's so great, as I feel like, and this is probably my delusion, but I think Indian comics are fucking bomb, dude. We destroy, dude.
Especially when you compare to Southeast Asia, which is the closest circus shows. I'm like, I've never seen an Indian comic do badly in a Southeast Asia circuit show.
Absolutely, man. Like I remember I went to Canada and I was in Vancouver and literally Monday को मैं open mic किया पहला और Saturday को मैं headline किया. Because it's so chill for us, especially when you are an Indian person. I think we have a great edge over people from there because we know way more about their culture than they know about ours.
Correct.
तो तुम उनके ही references उनको खिलाओ.
Correct.
पर कहानी अपनी बोलो तो it becomes so much richer for the audience also as an experience. What all places have you done open mics at? In countries wise.
So I think the first one I did was in Paris, which was there's this place called French Fried Comedy in Paris, which again was an open mic for like 5 people, and 2 were my friends, but it was fun.
I love that you have friends in Paris, man.
Yeah, I just like little one friend and he brought his friend. So I was like, chalo, why not? And Sana obviously was there. We did Paris. I've done obviously the entire Southeast Asia circuit, all your KL, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam. One more country I'm missing somewhere over here. But in Europe, I think I've done obviously UK. Well, UK is not Europe, but I've done Paris. I've done France. And sorry, I've done. Where else did I go? यार कहीं तो
नॉर्थ
एक ही
अमेरिका
है.
में ऑस्ट्रेलिया
No, I've
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
never
भी
been
किया
to.
ना
हाँ, Australia. Yes, I have. I've never been to North America in my life. So
है
yeah, never been. I was planning my first North America tour was supposed to be this year, जो नहीं होने वाला है.
when you were a travel writer did you travel to the places you wrote about
I did a couple. In fact, I went once to Germany. To this very small town. I mean, not small town, but a city, Dresden, smaller city. Which was basically, it was a story about like German watchmaking and just going to those places and seeing how they individually एक piece बना के like they make those fancy ass watches जो अभी यहाँ पे 10 लाख का बिकता है.
तो ये कंपनी स्पॉन्सर्ड ट्रिप था बेसिकली
Company sponsored trip, and there was another one which was company sponsored, but then we had the option of saying कि you pitch us the story that you want to do and we'll curate the thing for you.
राइट
So I said कि growing up मैं as a vivid memory, the only thing I remember of Switzerland was Heidi, the cartoon, जो cartoon
Yeah.
network पे आती थी. And I was like कि ever since I was a kid, I was like I wanted to go know what it's like to like live on a Swiss farm and like
yeah.
live like a farmer. So that was the story I did, and fuck मेरे नहीं रहने का dude farm पे. So I'll tell you. So there's stuff obviously that obviously I wrote in the story, which was the going and milking the cows and dealing with the shit
Yeah.
and all of that. Dude, cows का भी जैसे हम लोग का ऐसा वो response होता है कि चाय या सुट्टा के साथ immediately you need to go. तो वो shed में the cows were all trained to start shitting when La Bamba starts playing. ठीक है तो वो बंदा आता है अंदर switches on the lights, switches on the music and La Bamba and मेरे को बताया नहीं ये सब तो मैं जाके देख रहा है cows मस्त म्यूजिक चलता है फट यहाँ पे टट्टी urine flying out at me. I was like, and then he offered me chocolate at 5 a.m. It was nice. And I was sleeping in a barn, so they have barn stays over there where you can literally sleep in a stack of hay. Which was great as an experience, but the thing is that it was for the first night only me in the barn, which was kind of scary. Second night there was a couple that came, and they were staying in the haystack on the opposite side. और वो लोग मतलब they were having sex, dude. तो मतलब I can hear them having sex all night, and I can hear the haystack going up and down. And multiple times they had sex, so that was fun.
ये बहुत हुआ है नहीं मेरा है ना हम लोग का बांद्रा का ऑफिस था ना जब भी तो आई डोंट नो आई डोंट थिंक यू केम टू दैट ऑफिस बट इट वाज लाइक इट वाज एकदम ऐसा गली में वरोडा रोड टाइप्स एकदम प्रॉपर बैंड्रा वाइब्स तो हम ऐसा जैसे दरवाजा एंट्री था वन रूम किचन सो दिस फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन हिज बैंड वाज स्टेइंग ओवर एंड द वन ऑफ द बैंड मेंबर्स हैड गॉटन देयर गर्लफ्रेंड आई ओपन द डोर and I see like a male asshole just like and then I'm like oh shit ये तो नंगा है oh shit उसके नीचे कोई नंगा है like and I'm like guys and they were so in it that they did not even like they didn't acknowledge hear nothing so then I put an arm to block them out and I looked up and I see my friend and he's just like on like I think he's asleep or something so I'm like okay I guess this is what is happening I shut the door I wait outside and I come back in after an hour okay and I go up to my friend and I'm like dude तू सो रहा था ये लोग सेक्स कर रहे थे he's like dude मैं सो नहीं रहा था And then recently I went to Baroda. I was recording the music album, okay, and I was talking to friends of this particular person. Ki this incident happened and they were having sex and all of that. And he's like, "Oh, let me tell you all about them having sex all the time." And it turns out these two are serial fuckers. They constantly keep having sex when other people are around.
Wow.
Like everywhere, on the floor, in the train, in the bus. And I was like, so something about it being a shared trauma made it easier to deal with. Was it you weren't doing comedy when you went to Germany? No.
No. I think I started comedy a few months after that, like maybe 4 months after that, if I'm not wrong.
And of these places that you've gone to, I suppose Australia was like the most like long proper comedy campaign wala trip.
Yeah. And sorry, of course, Edinburgh. I missed out. Edinburgh I've been to.
You did Edinburgh the whole month?
No, I went there for 2 weeks and I did I think I did comedy I was at the festival for like a week, and then a week we did a road trip, the North Coast 500. But in the week, 7 दिन में मैं कुछ किया रहेगा 18 spot वहाँ पे. Because it's just, dude, the thing, and again that thing of Indian comedians, right? पहले तो you go there and tell them कि मेरा YouTube पे 1 million views आया, they look at you like you're a god, dude. कि तेरा 1 million bro, मेरा 300 पे अटका हुआ है. And then straight up, and just because I went there, did well. So there was one, like they have these the showcase shows, right, where every time it's a new comic coming up and flying at the door after they're done. So I got a spot, one recurring spot every day at that place, and it was really nice to do it, but also kind of bumming because people would come to me after the show and say, hey, where's your show? We want to come and watch your show. And I'm like, मेरा नहीं है show. आएगा शायद 2-3 साल में.
YouTube पे देख सकते हो तुम.
But that was great. The other great open mic experience I had was at Top Secret Comedy Club. Have you ever been? London?
No, dude. And in London, when I went, I was there for my brother's graduation. So I had about 3 nights free. And my parents think I'm a 12-year-old dulhan or some shit. So they were like, you can't go alone. What will happen if you go alone and all that? So, but that time, I remember I emailed everybody that I could. I emailed Charlotte from Comedy Store.
मेरे को भी Comedy Store नहीं दिया. I have a photo of me standing sadly outside Comedy Store.
And then finally I got one show in one open mic in some other corner of London. And that was the...
Was it Monkey Business?
Yes.
With that crazy guy who hosts the show.
Yeah, and that other guy... Head. Yes! And
everyone, that's a legendary open mic. That is a rite of passage open mic for everyone who goes to London.
Oh, मजा आ गया वो, काफी सही था वो. And I remember I did some topical shit and all of that, and then I did another open mic at this one room. I can't remember the name, but that room I went twice. What a gorgeous, like उधर का टट्टी room कितना gorgeous है यार. Like it's so good to perform for a crowd where they've had comedy their whole lives. So in that sense, Australia must have been mind blowing, right?
Oh yeah, it was crazy because again, Australia, you're going there, you're doing the show every night. I mean, for the first 2 weeks, it was great because there you're just taking it in. You're like, wow, we're performing every night. It's a new audience coming in. We're getting to do spots here and there. You're getting to watch so much.
Yeah.
But after 2 weeks, it started to get we were all very jaded. I know that also we got one fuck all review for the show because of some weird circumstances that just on the particular night that the reviewer came, there was some controversial shit said on stage, and because of that and the reviewer having a reputation for being slightly racist towards the Asian shows, we got fucked, and then the numbers tailed off after that. So that was a little double whammy after that. So I think after a point, then I reached a point where I bought a Nintendo Switch and I was sitting and playing video games in the room. And Karunesh जाके gambling कर रहा है रात भर casino में. So you do get jaded after a while. Particularly when it's a festival produced show and there's a fixed fee, because then you're like कि हाँ ठीक है मैं कुछ भी कर लूँ मुझे मेरा पैसा तो मिल रहा है. As opposed to Edinburgh, where it's that daily hustle of fuck कुछ करने का है नहीं तो crowd नहीं आएगा. I think that probably would be tiring right at the end, but you probably won't get jaded in the middle because you're just so in that zone ki hustle, gotta make it happen.
Yeah, and it must be nicer for you in the sense that since most of your material is in English, it's an easier transition, or is it? I don't know.
For me, I have found it easier. I think the only thing that I had to do was speak slowly, because even though I would not say I have a thick Indian accent, but for them, hey. And I think that's the feedback that I've given most people when they go abroad, is just speak a little slower than you normally do. But otherwise, I think I have that, the one bit which obviously that I can never release on Indian YouTube, which is the all religions wala bit,
Yeah.
which works great abroad because that's like a solid 20 minutes that I have.
Yeah.
So that's always my go-to whenever I go abroad. So I've always had like a 20-minute set ready to go wherever I go.
Did you end up writing material there as well? Like
In Melbourne? Oh, yeah, 100%. I wrote a good like 5-7 minutes new, which went into that show. I was headlining at a 18-minute set. So 5 was stuff that I wrote while I was there. And then we would go to open mics here and there, try to workshop stuff. But it's fun, it's enjoyable. Like that first week is also exciting because then you're seeing, arey, naya culture, naya observation, chalo, likhte. It's just that.
I think one of the greatest joys is when you come across an observation about a place that comics who have been there for years have not managed to crack.
Yeah. Like I'll tell you, my favorite joke was literally, and this is something that happened, me and Sam were walking on the street late at night. And we saw this homeless guy sleeping on the road. And just as we were approaching, like he just sat up, right? Bolt upright, like the Undertaker, looked around and just started running. As far as the eye can see, just running. And I was like, and again, that was just the first thought joke that came to me, but I used to use it as my opener.
Yeah.
Which was like, the only thing that I can think of to rationalize this is the guy woke up and he realized, fuck, I'm not homeless, and he ran home. Like, that's the only thing that I could think of.
That's a great observation, dude. That's hilarious. When I was in Vancouver, they had a World War I memorial time cartoon. Okay, and I was on stage, and I made like some joke about how a lot of the buildings in Vancouver, like a lot of the government buildings, look like Nazis built them. Canada was just basically like, just in case, let's just make these buildings like that. And they took very great offense to that because I realized, oh man, a lot of these people probably had family that fought in those wars.
Right.
And I had to, in a split second, save the situation. And I said, listen, I have no cultural context about your country, so don't get mad.
Yeah.
And the buses, for that week in Canada, in Vancouver, all the buses have the phrase, lest we forget. Right? Like, lest we forget, let us remember the veterans or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so confused about your country. When the bus said number 343, lest we forget, I thought it's just telling me.
Just in case we forget to write
Just in case. Okay, lest you forget where you have to. Yeah. So, ऐसे बच गए. And all the comics just lost their shit. They were like, oh fuck. Like, they did a Vancouver version of bye.
Yeah.
Great victories. Yeah, this is a great first half, man. We're going to take a very quick break and we'll be back after that. If you are listening, please do listen for the ads. If you are watching, then watch for the ads. We'll be back in no time.
This episode of the AMF podcast is brought to you by Secular Advertisements. पूरे देश को दे आउटरीच करने का सुनहरा मौका.
Hello, and welcome back. Second half, Azim Banatwala still here and wearing a wonderful Opeth t-shirt. Did you ever really get into metal?
Oh yeah, massively into metal.
Oh man.
Massively. Like I don't understand. Like a lot of people ask me, like, bro, you're wearing Opeth t-shirt, you listen or what? मैं क्यों पहनेगा अगर मैं नहीं सुनता है? I mean, I understand there's a lot of pretentious people who, wear metal t-shirts just because कि ऐसे blood and gore रहता है and they want to be like, mental आदमी है. But I was like, I think metal was retrospectively when I look at it, I think metal was my outlet and my way of dealing with depression that I didn't know I have in college.
Yeah.
Like it was that outlet ki abhi, and I think for a lot of people it's that baal lambe. Like if you do this in like when you're thinking about it, if you start doing this when you're 30, कि randomly बाल लंबा कर रहा है, एकदम sad बन रहा है, that anyone will look at you कि ये depressed है आदमी.
Yeah.
But when you do it in college, it's like नहीं cool बन रहा है.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I had a lot of. I was massively into metal, dude. I would listen to the most absurd. I had this crazy collection of like completely unheard of like Swedish and Norwegian metal bands.
Like Leviathan and stuff like that.
I'd forgotten the names also. Like there's one band which, by the way, like it was so obscure कि मैं एक वो time पे Facebook पे fan page बनाया. This band called Winterland, Winter land. And जो अभी official page बन गया है after 10 years, like it has some 25,000 followers, and no other page, like their official page also does not have as many
Right.
followers as this one. I was mad into. I was the manager of a metal band, which is a very nice post that they gave me, which is basically I was like the guy who hung out with people in a metal band and they didn't want to make me feel bad about not having a job. So I used to go for their अपना वो क्या बोलते हैं NOC बजाओ का जो jam room है ना.
Yeah.
I used to go there and used to have all the jam sessions and all of that. मेरा first ये YouTube channel पे first video जो अभी unlisted है is their first EP का recording in the Bajao studio.
What was the band called?
Fuck, it was called Defiance.
did they still make music? Are they still all active?
No. They like disbanded after like without even ever making a proper single. It was just like a band where everyone got together and they were like, "Chal karte hai," but everyone in different cities. One guy used to come from Pune. This is the guy who I met, by the way, playing Dota. And he introduced me to metal. So like, it's such a weird, like the way things link is so absurd.
Yeah, I usually when people got into metal, it was usually you start listening to Nirvana or Linkin Park or something, and then you kind of transitioned into metal. But at that point in my life, I came across Jack Johnson and Oren Levy and all of these soft-spoken singer-songwriters. So I just kind of got wavered out, and I ended up listening to post-rock and jazz and all that shit instead of listening to metal. And then as an adult, I realized how good it feels to just blast Meshuggah into your ears.
Oh yeah. When also a lot of metal is actually derived from jazz. Like the origins of metal come from jazz music. So I think one of the most iconic metal albums, they say that it was like basically the album that created metal as a genre. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a band called King Crimson. And the album is called In the Court of the Crimson King. And even if you listen to it now, it's very like, it's not like metal. It's like it's got very nice like jazzy psychedelic vibes to it.
Right.
But then also that metal aspect of it comes into it. It's got like a sort of Opeth and Black Sabbath and very funky, very interesting vibe going on. You should check it out.
It's interesting to me that you were playing Dota back then. When I played Dota...
That was Dota 1, हाँ. अभी Dota 2 खेल रहा है. वो Warcraft में जाके map load करो, वो वाला Dota.
मैं भी वही खेला था मैं. और मेरे से हुआ नहीं, because उसमें इतना सारा buttons है और इतना सारा चीज़ याद रखना पड़ता है कि I was just like, this is not my cup of tea at all. Like I was more than happy playing Counter-Strike.
I discovered gaming mouse as a concept because of Dota, because I would be like कि ये लोग इतना fast कैसा spell cast कर रहा है. Then मेरे को पता चला है कि mouse मिलता है जहाँ पे 5 बटन है. Then I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense.
That's the thing, right? Like the prerequisite for gaming earlier was having a good console and then having a tight PC.
Yeah.
And you have like those were the two things I really wanted to talk to you about in this half as well. Like one is how you've seen gaming evolve over the years. Being a non-public gamer, so to speak. Right?
No, the thing I've tried to be public gamer is just that the public is not interested in the games that I want to play.
What games do you want to play?
So the reason why streaming picked up a lot specifically is when PUBG and Fortnite came in.
Yeah.
PUBG Mobile and Fortnite on whatever platform, because primarily they were free to play games.
Yeah.
So these are games where it wasn't like you're watching for aspirational value कि मैं एक दिन ये PC खरीद के ये game खेलेगा. This is something that you could play on your own. So there's like a lot of relatability to it. Whereas so I play the most indie of indie shit, dude. I played like the one game that I keep raving about is a game called Papers, Please. Where literally it's like it looks like one of those DOS based games where the entire game is you are an immigration officer at a fictional like post Soviet country, and you have to stop people getting in, or based on choices you can maybe overthrow the government. And your entire job in that is just look at the new rules of immigration that have come in and accept or deny immigration, and based on that you get paid. And it's the most it sounds so boring and stupid on paper, but
it does not. As we speak, I cannot fight the urge to open Steam.
Yeah. It's the most fun game, dude.
For me, it was always city builders were very fascinating to me.
Oh yeah. I was very bad at them.
Same.
So like I used to use cheat codes in SimCity. Besharam.
My brother is still like he's a whiz at numbers. He's the first person I knew who would have an Excel sheet and a calculator out when playing SimCity.
Wow.
You know, and he used to play SimCity, Travel Tycoon. He introduced me to Tropico. I don't know if you've played Tropico.
I have played Tropico.
I am now on Tropico 6.
I played, I think, maybe Tropico 3, if I'm not wrong.
Dude, 6 is oof. Like, you know, and what most people don't seem to understand is that games are games made up for the shortfall in fiction reading that I used to do.
Yeah.
You know, when you're playing some games, especially games like Gears of War, Halo, such a huge universe, a rich universe of stories that you can actually experience by being part of the story.
Yeah.
What other sorry, I am getting into my own rant. What other games did you play? Like if Dota was, but Dota is also like a very much like a strategy based city, almost like the same skill sets.
So the thing is at that time, again, like it's just because I had two friends who were interested in playing Dota, and if you have like friends who are on the same team, that just takes the experience to a completely different level.
Right.
As opposed to just being that one solo player, and then it also gets very toxic when you're playing like as an environment. Online gaming is super toxic.
Yeah.
Like सब ऐसा 12 साल का बच्चा लोग आ जाता है, माँ बहन का गाली देता है, ऐसे मैं सब फिलीपींस का गाली सीख गया डूड डोटा से. जीबाई, सीबाई, महाई, सब all these galis I learned just from playing Dota with people in Philippines. And I don't know if you played Dota, एक GG client करके होता था. Have you ever used this
I never
thing?
reached that point of online.
So I'll tell you what the effort was to play a game of Dota with my friend at that time. Abhi right now if you're playing any game, you click join matchmaking, add to party and you're in the game.
Yeah.
ठीक है. वो टाइम पे पहले हम लोग को देखना था कि मैप का अपडेट आया है कि नहीं.
हाँ.
तो सब लोग मैप डाउनलोड करके C ड्राइव प्रोग्राम फाइल्स डोटा में जाके फोल्डर में मैप का फाइल पेस्ट करो.
हाँ.
Then there was this one client which is a separate thing called GG client, which basically simulates LAN, like a worldwide LAN on your
computer.
On your computer.
Right.
Which is effectively the matchmaking servers that are there now, which is the standard.
Yeah.
Was simulated by a third party software before. तो वहाँ पे जाके हम लोग लिस्ट ऑफ सर्वर्स आता था विदाउट एनी फिल्टर कि ये सर्वर अच्छा है ये बुरा है. यू जस्ट सी सर्वर, मैप नेम एंड नंबर ऑफ पीपल इन देयर. एंड हम लोग 2 जन हैं, हम लोग फोन पे बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. एंड we have to make sure that we both click on the same server at the same time so that we end up in the same team. तो हम लोग लिटरली ठीक है मिल गया 8 out of 10 है, दो स्पॉट बाकी है, 3, 2, 1 क्लिक. हम लोग ऐसा करता था. एंड देन वी वुड फाइंड आउट कि हम लोग अलग टीम में मैच हो गया, गेम स्टार्ट हो गया.
Oh no.
Then 5 minutes into the game किसी का इंटरनेट डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया एंड वी स्टार्ट दैट एंटायर प्रोसेस. तो एक गेम खेलने का प्रोसेस टू गेट इनटू द गेम वाज हाफ एन आवर. So that's the struggle of gaming that I have come from. But I started with I think most people my age would have started with like one of those basic consoles, the Sega Mega Drive,
right,
with all your Sonic and
Contra and Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt, all of those, baseball, tennis, all of that. I think Sega Mega Drive was still after that because those were 8-bit and Sega was 16-bit.
Okay.
My favorite game was Brian Lara Cricket at that time.
Yes.
जो कितना खेला है डूड, कितना खेला है लाइफ में वो. What's your favorite city builder ever?
Tropico.
Like of all time.
Hands down Tropico. Because जो नया वाला है उसमें it doesn't seem that intimidating, but when you actually get into it, it is like there's so many balls in the air at any given time because they've genuinely simulated. You know, all your city factions are very beautifully simulated. There's international trade, fluctuating prices, and you have the freedom of fucking with the constitution. So you can go from within one election cycle. I've just to stay in power, I've had to go from democracy to dictatorship and then come back. Using, and you can even manipulate the population because you have control over the media.
Right.
So you can actually.
ये तो sounds damn familiar.
So you can actually decide what the radio stations are going to pump out every day.
You think ऐसे मोदी अमित शाह लोग ऐसे बैठ के सिमुलेट करते हैं गेम में कि हम लोग ये करेगा तो क्या होता है, देखते हैं ना, थोड़ा सेफ फाइल लोड.
नहीं वो लोग पहले डिसीजन लेता है और फिर बोलता है कि याद नहीं कितने लोग मरे रास्ते में घर पे जाते हो.
But really mine, so my favorite retro or whatever growing up city builder by far was Caesar 3. I don't know if you ever
Oh,
played
I
that.
never played Caesar 3.
Oh, it was so much fun, dude. Building, like, just basically building that Roman Empire. And the thing that I loved about it was, again, the small little jokes that they would build into it. So, like, you could click on every individual citizen and see their name. तो
Yeah.
जहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रिशियन का नाम थॉमस एडिसोनियस, एक्टर का नाम ब्रैडिस पिटियस. I used to love those tiny jokes that are there.
Same,
And
yeah.
and in the modern ones, I don't know if you've played this one called Frostpunk.
I've heard of Frostpunk, and I could never find earlier. Honestly, I was to torrent them, and I used to never be able to find this. But I've heard about
This is
it.
very fun game. So basically, it's a post-apocalyptic city builder where your primary resource is heat. Because it's in a completely blizzard, snowed out world, and you need heat to survive. So it's very interesting.
I've over the years, did your preference of genre change? Like, is your
Yeah, so I mean, as I said earlier, I used to play a lot of your AAA titles. I would play a lot of shooters. All your Call of Duties, Battlefields, Medal of Honor, Brothers in Arms, all of those I used to play. But then they all sort of started feeling like the same to me. Like, even if you look at over the last, say, 10 years, there's maybe like 4 or 5 shooters that I've actually enjoyed. One was Far Cry 3.
gorgeous.
Just because of Vas, that character.
Yeah,
was
dude.
So good.
And that whole ending sequence where, you know, all these
Yeah.
Vases keep coming and...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful.
So there was that. There was the original Crisis, which मतलब कितना मेहनत लगा वो बस चलाने को PC पे.
Yeah. वो तो स्टैंडर्ड है ना, अगर तुम्हारे पीसी पे क्राइसिस चल गया तो तुम्हारा पीसी गांडफाड़ है.
And even to this day, it's like a benchmark. Abhi they've made a remastered version of Crisis to raise that bar again.
Yeah.
To see how much you can push it. Then I got into, obviously, once I got a console, then the third-person shooters became more appealing.
And this
All
is,
your-
were you a PS person or an Xbox? I think you're a PS person.
So I didn't have a PlayStation until 3 years ago. My parents would not buy only for me. So they were like, कि PC तेरे लिए graphic card खरीद के रखा है. So that's all you get. So the first thing that I got when I got my own place, December 2017. First 2 things that I bought, fuck furniture, all that, TV, PlayStation 4. Those were the first 2 things that came into the house before anything else. And yeah, all the PlayStation classics, all your PS4 classics, all your Uncharted, Last of Us, which the box you can see, is still 1 and 2, still my favorite PlayStation series of all time. It's God of War, Red Dead Redemption, again 1 and 2, just so good. So those are the more mainstream ones, and there's a couple of there's this very nice game called Celeste. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I haven't. अगर
it's
PlayStation
one of
exclusive है तो चांस ही नहीं है.
नहीं, PlayStation exclusive नहीं है. It's on all platforms. It's one of those. So there's that new sort of over the last, say, 7-8 years, there's been this revival of modern games with retro graphics.
Yes.
And Celeste is one of those like difficult platformers where, you know, the world keeps changing, the rules of physics around you keep changing. And it's a story about mental health, about a girl combating her depression. It's very, very nice. Really good game.
And that's the thing, right? Like it's now that I think over the last 10 years that I hear people describing the narrative of the game as being integral to how good the game is.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
like when I played Warcraft 3, you know, it was the narrative of the game that really got me hooked onto it.
Yeah.
And I still get fucking annoyed if somebody skips the cutscene.
Yeah. Why would you do that? What's the point of playing the game if you're not watching the story?
Yeah, and especially with now I just got the Master Chief Collection for Halo. In fact, I think somebody gifted it to me at some point and didn't tell me that they gifted it, and I tried to buy it. And when I tried to buy it, you know, they were like, "You already own this," and I ran around like a small child for an hour. And the cutscenes are remastered,
nice.
and they've added all these extra cutscenes. And the thing is, I get very panicky when I'm playing a game. Because it's like सब जगह से लोग आ रहे मारो, and I always miss the Easter egg stuff. So I took the easy hack out and went to YouTube.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of times it's the best way.
एक गेम खत्म करो और फिर जो ईस्टर एग कट सीन्स है उसका पूरा देख लो एक शॉट में.
I do that especially in all these multiple ending wale games where your decisions decide how it ends and all of that. So I stick to my path and then I'm
Yeah.
like, chalo, instead of replaying the game, I'm just going to watch all the endings. Like Bioshock was one of those
Bioshock
games.
is so gorgeous.
All of
dude.
them.
Yeah.
1,
man.
2, 3, and wait, 3 was Infinite.
3 was Infinite. Then there was but then you must have loved Fallout also.
Yeah, so Fallout, the thing is, I think it was probably the first RPG of that scale that I played, Fallout 3.
Yeah.
And it just was too vast. I was like, my mind was completely blown by it.
Yeah.
Fallout 4, 3, both I clocked around like 30-40 hours and then I gave up. The one that I just started playing because before my hand got fucked was Outer Worlds, which is developed by the developers of Fallout 3 New Vegas.
Ah.
So that was looked really nice. I was enjoying my time with it. And now I actually started before the pandemic, I started investing in a lot in Nintendo Switch games because of just the convenience of being able to travel with the console
Yeah.
and just like take a game, playing it on the TV, just pick it up, put it in the bag, continue it on the flight. Like that, for me, technologically, the Switch is just the most brilliant console ever made. Even though the games and the graphics may not be as good as your PlayStation and Xbox, but just as a concept only, it's just so beautiful.
You know, there was a time when there was all this conversation about having just cloud-based gaming consoles, and I was like, ये नहीं हो सकता है, you know, and we're getting there. We're very close
I mean,
to that.
Google Stadia has been a bit of a failure.
Yeah.
Outside, especially, I mean, it's only in the US, and even in the US, server issues and all. Anything cloud-based in this day and age, there's always going to be a problem with your latency and this and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's happening slowly. Like even, I mean, not cloud-based, but I do remote play, right? When I'm streaming from my PlayStation's in the living room, but when I'm streaming here, I'm effectively playing off that PlayStation here,
Right.
which is effectively my mini cloud play happening at
Yeah.
home. So it can happen.
Oh man, I'm excited. I love the fact like gaming is one of those things now that just keeps going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, like society
There's
might
never
regress.
any stalling at all.
Like society regress.
And
हो
there's
सकता है.
those landmark games that come once in a while, and that defines like the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like for me, the most landmark game of all time, which revolutionized games completely for me, was Half-Life 2. I don't know if you've ever
I was
played
too
that.
young when Half-Life 2 came out.
So I was too young for the first Half-Life, which at that time revolutionized
Yeah.
games completely. And then I played Half-Life 2, and now Half-Life Alex is the VR one. So now I'm trying to find somebody who can loan me a VR headset to play it for 1 week, because it's just too much. Like, you know, VR headsets in India, they cost 3x of what they do in the US, just because, like, to get like an Oculus Quest or something is 70 grand in India as opposed to like 25 or 30 in the US. So I'm waiting for somebody from the US to come.
And in this time, like, do you feel like there's space to stream games that are not PUBG and Fortnite?
So the thing is that you can try, but वो आधा comment वही होता है कि PUBG खेलना bro. Like we've tried as EIC, we started doing like more like casual game, Clash Royale on the phone, which all of us were enjoying. But again, didn't really have the audience for it.
Right.
I play some indie stuff. I play Football Manager as a stream.
Huh.
So I mean, it's stuff that I do just because I want to do it, and if other people are interested, and if I can convert like 50 people to play Overwatch, which is my #1 online shooter of all time,
Yeah.
which I play up to now. If I can get that like community of people playing Overwatch, like for me, I've got enough out of that stream. So I know I'm not gonna have a million people watching me play Overwatch.
Yeah.
जो नहीं होता है. तो which is fine.
मुझे तो लगता है कि पूरा ऑनलाइन दूसरे लोग के साथ खेलने का I don't know, I never got into it. I just felt like the games were a great place for me to just like be alone. You know what I mean? Like Fallout 3, you clocked 30 hours, no? I Fallout 3 is the game I've played the most in my life. I must have finished Fallout 3, I think two and a half times.
Wow, that's a lot. Like full 100% all side quests and all of that.
Once the first time with all the side quests. The thing is, you can't do all the side quests if you want certain outcomes in the game.
हाँ, of course, correct.
So उसके चक्कर में थोड़ा काफ़ी सारा मिस हो जाता है बिकॉज अगर आप स्पेशली इफ यू न्यू कैलिफोर्निया रिपब्लिक के साथ तुम जुड़ जाओ तो देन यू कांट डू व्हाट द ब्रदरहुड इज डूइंग एंड ऑल.
हाँ, correct, right.
तो लाइक वो
The one that I spent the most time in was Witcher 3. That game, oh my god.
Witcher 3 was I downloaded it, I played it for a while and then I felt like ये बहुत मेहनत है. Like it felt like
That-
single
I
player
have 100
Dota.
hours easy in that game.
तो उसमें सिंगल प्लेयर डोटा वाला वाइब आता है.
I mean, it's very complex. So I like that complexity in games. Like for instance, I can't do this whole Fall Guys and Among Us and all of that kind of streams. Like people sitting and playing. Like those are party games.
Among
And
Us is
even when-
anxiety inducing, dude.
Which one?
Among Us
Among Us. Yeah, I still haven't played it. I've watched people play.
is
But I'm like कि ये मैं हाउस पार्टी पे करेगा ना जब 7 लोग आए हैं मैं ये स्ट्रीम पे क्यों करेगा.
हाँ मतलब क्योंकि करना पड़ेगा ना कुछ तो.
हाँ,
वो वाला
वो तो
भी डर
है.
है.
I mean वही है. Most of Indian gaming streaming right now is करना पड़ता है.
Yeah.
It's just that.
I personally am not great at, and I think it's if I were to stream, you know, when I started streaming some games, the whole peg was always Akash sucks at games. I enjoy sucking at games. I don't
But
mind.
I've realized that that's not what people watch gaming streams for.
Exactly. They watch gaming streams to hear you cuss.
Or be good at the game, whichever, one or the other.
Yeah. Which is not my cup of tea at all. Maybe if I'm like if it's a game that and plus I think if I'm also replying to your comments, I'm not very good at the game by default.
Yeah,
You know,
correct.
like the one game that I was, I think the second game that I must have spent the most time on was Gears of War.
That again didn't have an Xbox, so never got
हाँ
into it.
वही है. मेरे बेस्ट फ्रेंड है ना, मेरा बेस्ट फ्रेंड और मैं लॉ स्कूल में 5 साल हर एक एग्जाम के लिए, एग्जाम के टाइम पे यूज्ड टू मूव इनटू माय हाउस ऐसा पढ़ने के बहाने, ठीक है.
हाँ.
और फिर हम लोग होर्ड मोड खेलते थे या तो कैंपेन खेलते थे उसमें, और वी क्लॉक्ड अ few hundred hours
Yeah.
over the 5.
Maximum I've spent in games is Football Manager, which is I think easily since 2011. With every iteration, I was calculating some 2,000 hours, which is just an absurd amount of time doing a job that does not exist.
Yeah. I feel that way about Cricket 19 now, dude. I play so much Cricket 19. Like I have.
खेलते हैं ना, we should do like once my hand is sorted.
अरे
PC पे
but
खेलते
you are
हैं
on a अच्छा PC पे तू है क्या? PC पे हाँ तेरे
मेरे
पास
सब
PC
पे है.
है.
I have all consoles.
Did you feel joy when you did end up getting all of the? Was the joy as much as you thought it would be?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it also, and this happened like maybe 2 years ago, which was also the peak of when I was the most busy in life. So I maybe didn't have all the time in the world to play the games, but just the knowing that if I want to just sit at home for 10 days
Yeah.
and play any game in the world without compromise, I can do it, and that satisfaction was enough for me.
Yeah, no. My trip when I first got a gaming based, like abhi in the beginning of the lockdown, I scavenged parts from people and assembled a desktop. Okay, like
which is what you do.
I had friends who had like, मेरे पास तो 3 पड़े हैं graphic card. I'm like, क्यों पड़े तेरे पास 3? But ठीक है, मेरे को एक दे दे. And my friends helped me through all of it. And this is when, you know, I asked them what is the specifications. They're like, Akash, crisis चलेगा, तू chill कर. And I was like, okay, I guess then that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And my biggest trip has been going back on Steam and buying all those old games that when I wanted to play them, I couldn't play them.
Yes.
Either because I didn't have the money or I didn't have the processing power.
Yeah.
And there is no greater joy than playing an old game on full graphics.
Oh yeah. Just seeing like the 144 hertz screen, like refresh rates that the game is only not designed
I
for.
swear. You know, in the Master Chief Collection, if you press tab while you're playing the game, it switches between the old graphics and the new remastered graphics.
Nice.
So like
Nice.
and it's basically because laptop कभी overheat हो जाता है, तो you wanna switch back. But I तो just like do it in every new environment just to see कि like when I had played this on Xbox कैसा दिखता था और अब कैसा दिखता है. And I remember like this distinct memory of playing Halo 2. And in Halo 2 you can do dual wielding, okay? And I was just looking at the muzzle flash and going, my God, will it ever look more realistic than this?
Yeah.
And now I press tab and I'm like, cheek tatti sala, kitna ganda muzzle flash tha.
Yeah, of course. We've all had those. Like you looked at GTA San Andreas and you're like, इससे अच्छा क्या बना सकता है game?
Oh man.
Then they made 4 and 5 and it's just
And I think
crazy.
that's the argument I have for when people say ki all these old Godzilla movies and all, they look so shitty. And I'm like, bro, but like to those people, that was...
For that time, yeah.
that was ridiculous. They must have been scared in the theater. Coming to the last thing I really want to discuss with you, which I think is one thing I'm very jealous of, and I do this with every comic that comes on this, because I'm just intrinsically jealous of people who write material down. I cannot fathom. मैं भी कर रहा है ये 9-10 साल से, पर मेरे से हो नहीं रहा है ये चीज. And I've seen you literally sit and bring a fucking Word doc and just do the Word doc, and it somehow just works.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know, because I think because from the beginning I've been a writer, and that magazine experience and all that. So that was that familiarity zone that I have, that I write something down, and it has to be. And also that's the reason why, as a comic, I take I am very meticulous about the material, because I had a very hard ass editor. So I was like, the first draft of whatever I write has to be bomb, no matter what happens.
Right.
And she's great. Like, she trained me really well, and I'm really thankful for having her as a boss. But so because of that, honestly, I don't write a lot of drafts of my jokes. Like, when I bring out the first draft, that's like, it's 60% there in the first draft. Like, there'll be tweaking and all of that happens later. But and that's why a lot of times people tell me that, bro, I'm rewriting this joke for like the 8th time, and that just gives me anxiety कि तू मतलब क्या कर रहा है life के साथ? Why are you not taking the time and doing it on the first draft? But it's also very counterproductive for me, because if I'm not in the zone and I just need to start writing and just, you know, like get into like a little stream of consciousness and just write whatever, वो मेरे से नहीं होता. Like, if I write it down, that paragraph that I write has to be in my mind gold or close to gold, otherwise I cannot move ahead. Right. So it's a very frustrating process also, as a part of it. That's why I get, and this is the same thing, I'm sure all written comedians look at like a guy like you, and we are just jealous कि साला ये stage पे जाके बकचोदी कर रहा है and he's just having fun with it. And that's why genuinely I enjoy watching you, because I'm just like, yeah, why is he having so much fun on stage? You know? Like, this is damn stressful when I go, because मेरे को याद करने का है, timing याद करने का है, यहाँ पे ये pause आएगा, यहाँ पे मैं ये करेगा. And you're just going and murdering the crowd. Like, there's few comics that I enjoy watching like this. There's you, there's Biswa, who just goes on stage completely whatever the fuck and just comes up with gold, and he's like, हाँ ये बस मैं एक बार किया because मेरा mood था. And I'm like, कि ये comedy gold hai. What are you doing? Like, you've seen the bit that he has about Indian rappers.
Yeah.
Which again was like 4 बार किया, and he's like, I was like, bro, release it right now. Gully Boy aa raha hai, it'll get mad. He's like, नहीं मैं ऐसे ही just मेरा भड़ास निकालने का था. That's all.
Yeah, but that's really what it is, you know. And but I think it also reflects in the style that comes out on stage, where I'm a very sloppy comic. Like, the style is very...
like, you'll just... Yeah, I know what you
know what I mean? And you're a very precise comic. So I think there is a greater degree of certainty you possess, where you know कि हाँ इधर applause break है, इधर बड़ा laugh है, इधर ये है, इधर वो है. मेरा same joke का same reaction कभी नहीं आता है. Like,
it's the same. It's sort of like, I was watching this one video about like, if you follow F1 at all, about Fernando Alonso's driving style when he was the world champion at Renault many years ago. Where they were like, they looked at his driving style and they were like, there is no way this person can win a race, get the car to the finish line, because ye mar jayega. Just because of the way he would drive was so harsh on the car, like, just constantly, because like a Lewis Hamilton is, as you would say, a precise driver. Like, all his inputs into every corner is precise. Hamilton and like guys like Raikkonen, they are throwing the car into the corner, it's sliding around and all that, but they're coming first as well. So that's why I realized that it doesn't matter, like, whatever the style is, as long as you're getting to the end goal and you're having fun while doing it, that's what matters.
But like, when you're thinking of the bit before you're actually when you're writing it this way, like, are there bits where you're spending 1-2 years then?
Yeah. So in Problems, my entire death penalty is in the new show, but the entire population control bit took me 2 years to get right.
Right.
Also because I think I was not evolved enough as a comedian myself to be able to
execute,
convincingly sell the fact that people in society need to die.
Yeah.
And also just finding the right way to word it and make it palatable.
Yeah.
We're literally just changing like one or two words in a bit and realizing that over months has actually made the difference.
I think it's like, I think it's also when it comes from your mouth, it's harder to sell. Like
Yeah.
you're such a polished guy. मैं तो stage पे सीधा "ऐ, मार डालते हैं यार सबको यार." And it's just
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I would get jealous. I'm like, ये बिस्वा बोलता है कि सबको मार डालो, उसका चल रहा है. मैं अच्छा nicely, politely आके बोल रहा है तो मेरे पे क्यों नहीं हंस रहा है? It's just that.
Do you feel like the like because you have this, well, none of us are very restricted in terms of what subject matter we talk about. I think most comics worth their salt have a bit on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I personally felt like at least for YouTube, I made a conscious decision कि I'm just gonna get goofier and goofier and goofier. Like that's what leads to bits like Hathi Chiti jokes and all, where I'm just like,
Yeah.
the obsession stops being about can I make this unpalatable thing palatable. It starts becoming, can I make this fucking absurd thing palatable?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that with the material? Like how do you feel like you know, like what you're trying to achieve? Does that change over time for you as well?
Yeah, I think like at one point, comedy was just about getting the joke, getting the punchline, making people laugh. Then I think one was about just, I think Kamat the Hour was just sort of like getting, literally it was just my annoyance about traffic for 1 hour in coming out in various forms.
Yeah.
कि ट्रैफिक में ये होता है, ट्रैफिक में बुड्ढे लोग होते हैं, बुड्ढे लोग बैंक में जाते हैं, कमिंग बैक टू ट्रैफिक में ये होता है, ट्रैफिक में वो होता है. इफेक्टिवली इट वाज जस्ट दैट. I think problems came from more of a place of anger with the way like the political system was working and how people are just stupid. And I think like just anger and annoyance has become my thing now. Ki if right wing annoys me, I'll write jokes about them. Left wing annoys me, I'll write jokes about them.
Yeah.
So like between the lines is just that. Ki basically a show about learning to tread the line between the right and the left and trying to survive. That's
Right.
what that show is all about, and that's also sort of what the environment that I had been around like personally for that year. कि right wing से hate मिल रहा है, woke लोग censor कर रहा है, cancel कर रहा है, and I was like that's something that is bothering me.
Yeah.
And which is why now, and that's a dangerous part to thread, because once you start getting happier in life, your material starts to reduce significantly.
Yeah.
So now I'm finding it hard कि अभी बैठ के साला relationship का material कैसा लगेगा मैं.
Yeah.
So
And you've always had a very stable relation. Like you and Sana dated for how long before you got married?
oh yeah, very, like I think pretty much she's like my second ever girlfriend. And then we dated since we were what, 22,
है ना?
and like yeah, so we would know. But the thing is like, so again the bit that I'm talking about is just like because I haven't dated a lot personally, but I have so many people around me in toxic relationships.
Right.
And trying to rationalize that as somebody who's been in a stable relationship. So that's something that's funny for me, and that's actually the first new like thought where I'm like कि इसका 15 minute निकल सकता है. Where just started working on that since the last couple of weeks.
Sometimes I feel like I get into a power trip, and I'm like, hey man, today I want to make them laugh at bagal chatna. You know, and
नहीं, मैं इतना confidence नहीं है मेरे अंदर. Like the most experimental I've tried to get, and I think there are only maybe 3 comics who have seen me embarrass myself to this degree. I think you know.
I think
what
I've
I'm
seen
talking
you.
about. Have you seen? No. So this is when I came back from Melbourne, and
yeah.
I was like कि मैंने दुनिया देखा है, वहाँ पे क्या absurd shit चल रहा है, मेरे को भी करने का ही है. And I'd always had this one thought कि the Sting ka song Desert Rose. When I think about it, so it's Desert Rose featuring Cheb Mami, and if you listen to the song closely, Cheb Mami is always interrupting Sting.
yeah.
So it was sort of just trying to be miming Sting in that song.
Yeah.
And just as somebody who's never acted, never done any kind of thing apart from delivering jokes on stage, to go up and do that for 3 minutes, where I'm running around threatening people in the audience with guns. I have a butter knife which I stole from Cuckoo Club, जो मेरे पास अभी तक है, to stab someone with. and I remember Saurabh Ghosh was there, and Puneet Pania was there, who was recording it on the phone. And the thing I'm happiest about is कि मेरा phone का battery मर गया while he was recording it. So there is no proper evidence that thing ever happened, because it was so bad, dude. It was so bad, and I was like, I'm not ready to do this at all. Maybe at some point later. Like, I do a lot of visual stuff I enjoy doing, like PowerPoint stuff and all of that, because again, there's precision to it. I can time the joke, I can time that little animation
It's a
that
very
comes.
EIC thing to do, I must say.
What to do?
I don't know, man. Something about having a visual aid, no? Because I used to play the ukulele while doing stand up. And then after that, a lot of people would tell me, ki, like, dude, it's a hack, it's a cheating, they were. And, are you even funny without it and all of that? And then I think the motivation to do stand up shifted from subject matter to craft very quickly.
Yeah.
Where it started becoming, what else can I do with this? What else can I do with this thought? Can I tell a joke where I don't tell a joke but I still convey the joke? You know what I mean? And that's where the obsession really, like, now I think I'm super hyper geeky about it. Like, I read neuroscience because I want to get better at stand up. Do you feel like that motivation has changed as well over the years?
So I was never honestly that geeky about stand-up. Like, obviously there's plenty of comics around who is just like, कि bro ये special देखा, वो special देखा, ये देख, वो देख, मैं सब 7,000 comedian का special का hard drive है मेरे पास, मैंने सब देख लिया. I was never that guy. I was like, कि there are few comics whose work I enjoy and I really like, and I sort of take inspiration from them. And those are the guys that inspire me, and that's the sort of zone that I like. An amalgamation of those zones is what my comedy is now. And it's a very weird combination. I think my biggest influences are Eddie Izzard, Seinfeld, Bill Burr, and Jim Jeffries. So trying to just combine, like, the guy who does history with the nice guy, with the guy who hates on women, and the guy who gets arrested for his jokes. It's just finding that happy medium somewhere. Because I want to do absurd shit like Eddie Izzard. I want to, like, write swift, smooth punchlines like Seinfeld. But I also want to push the boundaries like Jim Jeffries does. I also want to, like, slightly upset you but make you laugh the way Bill Burr does. So that's sort of what I like to do with comedy.
Do you feel like, and this is the last thing I'll ask you, because I think, I think इसके बाद कोई सवाल मतलब नहीं है. Do you feel like we can push the craft ahead in the circumstances that we're being dealt with in our country? Like, in terms of,
I think the circumstance in itself is a challenge to push the craft ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say whatever you want about whoever you want, as long as you do it well. Like, to sab aake bolega, hey, Modi, hey, Amit Shah, hey, whatever, then obviously you're going to get into trouble for it. But if you find ways to move around it, that also in itself is a craft. Which maybe it's not something that we want to do. Like, we want to be able to go in like comics in the US and just shout out and say Trump, mother, choda, whatever. But you can't do that over here, and you accept that, right? It's eventually any art form is built by the limitations around it, and then you find a way to move around.
This is a conversation I was having with a friend of mine the other day. I was saying that the difference between comedy and other things is that comedy is a craft, right? And what is a craft? A craft is basically creative expression with restrictions.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the restrictions can only help us.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, eventually, whatever said and done, if you can get around any restriction in comedy and still do your job, you're getting better at your job.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, any job, I feel. अगर तू कल शेफ का काम कर रहा है और तेरे बोलेगा आज से फ्राइंग पैन अलाउड नहीं है, then you will learn new ways to make your food and then learn more about the art of cooking.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's a really nice note. So I do these podcasts and I guess, like, they're therapy only for me, because I need to hear some things out of, like, the mouths of people that are not me or my therapist,
It's true, dude.
Hey, but this has been great, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Super fun.
Yeah. Also, if you could give a quick shout out to all of our patrons, because this is a listener supported podcast. So.
Oh, amazing. Shout out patrons. You are amazing. Please keep patroning. and we will enjoy your patronage.
Yeah, it's interesting,
in
no,
this
'cause
patriarchy
you-
of patriotism.
You can't say, please keep patronizing.
I don't know. Sure, be patroning.
Yeah,
Patroning.
you're a patroner.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks so much, man. Thank you so much for watching or listening, you guys. Take care very much, etc. Tada, bye bye.